Part 301. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3001. Chapter 3001. Some small gifts prepared for you. I know, her name is Gu Sheng, a top student from a prestigious school. I have also seen her art exhibition. No wonder Director Bai is in the entertainment industry and can resist all kinds of temptations. There is a saying that his girlfriend is much better than those girlfriends. However, Director Bai has such an excellent girlfriend, why not make it official? Maybe it's because the two of them have just been dating and their relationship is not stable enough. When it stabilizes, it will definitely be officially announced. Asterisk. Mian, come here quickly and let grandma take a look. The old lady was supported by the housekeeper, with a joyful smile on her brows and eyes, and walked up to Chiao Mian with a happy face. Hooking her hand, he looked down at her belly with a slightly excited expression. Chiao Mian was only about 2 months pregnant, and her belly was flat, so naturally nothing could be seen. But the old lady looked at it happily. She looked at it for a while and even reached out to touch it. The movements were cautious, as if they were afraid that if they were a little heavier, they would startle the baby in the belly. It's great. Mian is also pregnant. Soon I will have a little great-grandson, the old lady exclaimed happily. My 2 grandsons have already gotten married and have children. What regrets do I, an old woman, have now? It's all gone. Even if I suddenly close my eyes one day, there will be no regrets. Grandma, don't say unlucky words. You want to live a long life. Chiao Mian held the old lady's hand, pulled her aside and sat down, leaned next to her, and said solemnly, not only will you see ASI and your eldest brother get married and start a family, you will also see your 2 little great-grandchildren get married and start a family. ACI and I went to the temple to burn incense and asked a master to calculate your birth date. The master said that you are a noble person who will live long and rich, and there is absolutely no problem in living 100 years. Chiao Mian has a sweet mouth. These words made the old lady suddenly smile. Okay, the old lady said happily, Mian is right, grandma will have to watch my 2 little great-grandsons get married and start a business. Grandma, you didn't come here empty-handed, right? People are in high spirits when happy events happen. Mo Yesi also had a happy look on his face, curled his lips, and teased half-jokingly, Mian is pregnant, give us the Mo family a break. Yet. She is now a great hero of our Mo family. Old man, should you reward her with something? Hearing this, Chiao Mian glared at him and said with a coquettish smile, what a great hero, I am not the child conceived for others, this is our own child. Why are you asking grandma for a reward? Of course we need to reward you. ACI is right, Mian, you are a great contributor to our Mo family, you must be rewarded properly. The old lady smiled and patted the back of Chiao Mian's hand, raised her head and looked at Zhang, who was standing next to her. Uncle, hurry up and take out the reward I prepared for Mian. Uncle Zhang was carrying a briefcase in his hand. He smiled and responded respectfully, yes, old lady. Then he opened the briefcase, took out a stack of documents and papers from it, walked up to Chiao Mian, bent down and handed it to her respectfully. Second young madam, these are some small gifts that the old lady has prepared for you. Second young madam, please accept it. Chiao Mian was stunned for a moment, then turned to look at Mo Yesi. The old lady really prepared a reward for her? Considering that when she first met, the old lady gave her a luxury store worth hundreds of millions, she didn't think that what Uncle Zhang was holding would be some small gift. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3002. Chapter 3002. Tens of billions of small gifts. The gifts given by the Mo family cannot be small gifts in the true sense. Keep it. Mo Yesi crossed his legs elegantly, picked up a cup of freshly brewed coffee, took a sip, and said with a smile, "This is the rule of the Mo family." My sister-in-law was pregnant at the time, so she was also rewarded. Of. Chiao Mian hesitated for a moment, then reached out and took it. There are a lot of luxury cars and shops, and there is even an office building with more than 30 floors. Chiao Mian stared blankly at the 30-story office building, falling into a confused silence. This is a small gift? The gap between the little gift in her cognition and the little gift in the Mo family's cognition seems to be a bit too huge. What a world of difference. She made a rough estimate and found that the small gift the old lady had prepared for her was worth at least tens of billions. Tens of billions of small gifts. At this moment, Chiao Mian's mood is really hard to describe. Grandma. Holding the stack of transfer agreements worth tens of billions, she felt her hands were a little hot. Is this gift too expensive? Although she has been married to Mo Yesi for several years and now has a child, she still can't adapt to the Mo family's atmosphere. You deserve this. The old lady clapped her hand and smiled calmly. I originally prepared some, but I'm afraid the amount is too big and you kid won't accept it. So the remaining I'll give that part to you after you give birth. Chiao Mian. The amount she holds in her hand is already large enough, okay. Just take what grandma gives you, Mo Yesi said calmly, don't feel embarrassed. What you do is nothing to grandma. Grandma, the water is deep, so feel free to accept it. You stinky boy. The old lady turned her head and glared at him with feigned anger. They say that raising a son is nothing. If you marry a wife and forget your mother, I think you stinky boys are the same. You don't have any conscience. From now on, all my money will be left to my 2 grandsons-in-law, you brats, don't even think about getting a penny. Mo Yesi drank coffee slowly and smiled gracefully. Grandma, don't forget, Mian and I are husband and wife. Whatever you give to Mian will be included in the joint property of the husband and wife, and of course I will have a share. Old lady. Chiao Mian glared at Mo Yesi. Okay, stop talking nonsense to grandma. Mo Yesi met her eyes and smiled softly and fondly. Okay, wife. You are the eldest in our family now, so I will listen to you. Chiao Mian. This guy deserves a beating. Asterisk. The old lady was not in good health. She came to see Chiao Mian and stayed for half an hour before returning to Luzai. Just after leaving for a while, Bai's father and Bai's mother came to the door. The nutritional and health products brought by the two of them were piled up in the corner of the living room like a mountain. Even if you eat it for a year and eat it every day, you won't be able to finish it. Chiao Mian felt it was an exaggeration. Dad, Mom, how could I eat so much? You must have bought too much. She began to worry about whether she would be fed into a pig during her pregnancy. Not too much, not too much, not too much at all. Bai Mu said from experience, after pregnancy, your appetite will be much better than usual, and you can eat 4 or 5 meals a day. That's how I ate back then. Chiao Mian. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3003. Chapter 3003, I have gained a lot of weight which is visible to the naked eye. She doesn't want to eat 4 or 5 times a day. Okay, then forget about bringing supplements. Why did you buy a bunch of daily necessities for the baby? Chiao Mian said with a smile. It's still early before the baby is born, and I don't know if the baby in my belly is a boy. You are a woman, you are too active. Much more positive than her, an expectant mother. It's too early, prepare early so that you won't be in a hurry when the time comes. Bai Mu said cheerfully, as if she had come from before. When I was pregnant with you and your brother, I also prepared all these things early in the morning. Besides, The things I bought are available for both boys and girls. They are all useful whether you have a boy or a girl. Chiao Mian Mian. By the way, this is a small gift from your father and I to our future grandson. Bai Mu took Chiao Mian Mian's hand and chatted for a while, then took out a thick stack of property transfer agreements from her bag. Chiao Mian Mian. Another small gift? I'm afraid this so-called small gift is the same as what the old lady gave her. It's a bunch of luxury cars and mansions. Chiao Mian Mian lowered her eyes and glanced, and sure enough she saw a lot of familiar words. Some kind of mountainside villa, some kind of yacht, private jet, etc. Her eyebrows twitched. Mom, you should keep these for you and Dad. You have already given me a lot, and I can't accept so many things from you anymore. This is for you, this is for my little grandson. Bai Mu couldn't help but put a thick stack of transfer agreements into her hands. You silly kid, why are you so polite to your parents? Your father and I only have 2 children, you and your brother. What's ours is yours and your brother's. This is nothing, there will be more in the future. Chiao Mian Mian. What is it like to have a pair of very troubled parents? It is no longer uncommon to give luxury cars and mansions as gifts. After all, private jets are sent in multiples. Chiao Mian Mian once again clearly understood the so-called willfulness of money. He also clearly realized again the strength of the Bai family, which is as famous as the Mo family. The Bai family, which ranks among the 4 major families in Yunchinj, is indeed not generally rich in financial resources. Her natal family is really awesome. Asterisk. After Chiao Mian Mian became pregnant, she became the key protection target of the Mo family and the Bai family. The old lady didn't trust her and had to watch her under her nose to feel at ease, so she asked Chiao Mian Mian to move to the old house and live with her. Bai's mother didn't trust her either. After discussing it, she also moved into the Mo family's old house with her. Although there are many people in Mazai, there are not many people who are close to the old lady who can usually talk to her. After Chiao Mian Mian and Bai Mu moved in, the house suddenly became lively. The old lady was in a good mood. She had been recovering from illness for a period of time and her health was much better. Although Bai Mu and the old lady are separated by a generation, they both grew up in famous families, and their living environment and education were similar. The two of them had quite a lot to talk about and could chat for a long time every day. As for Chiao Mian Mian, Mother Bai took good care of her. The old lady specially found 3 nutritionists to take care of her 3 meals a day during her pregnancy. They raised her like a pig for several months, and she gained a lot of weight visible to the naked eye. Although she is very thin, even if she gains weight, she still does not look fat. However, her face is much rounder than before, and her waist is also fatter. Night. Mo Yesi slept with her in his arms, squeezing her soft waist with his big hands, and said fondly, "My mother-in-law has a way to make you gain some fat." After gaining weight, Chiao Mian Mian feels particularly good to the touch. Although it felt pretty good in the past. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3004. Chapter 3004. Everyone in the world serves as a witness. Although it felt pretty good in the past. But compared with before, it is still better now. Mo Yesi prefers her to have some flesh on her body. It's good as she is now, just the right amount of fat and thin. But Chiao Mian Mian was very dissatisfied with her current figure. She kept yelling that she had gained weight and become ugly all day long, and said that Mo Yesi's words to comfort her were not true. While talking, she would cry and ask him if he didn't love her anymore. Mo Yesi has to coax him for most of the day every time. Later, he went to ask Mo Shixiu, and Mo Shixiu, who was already very experienced, told him that these were normal. Zhang Luli was also like this during pregnancy. He would shed tears over a very small thing or a very ordinary sentence. He will cry when it rains, and he will cry when there is no moon at night. he will often wake up in the middle of the night and hold him crying. She said she dreamed that he became fat and ugly because of her pregnancy, cheated on her, and divorced her. Then they would ask him if he had really changed his mind, and Mo Shixia would have to coax him for a long time before he could be coaxed. Mo Yesi felt relieved after learning from his elder brother that some pregnant women would become particularly emotionally sensitive during pregnancy. But, I feel like I've gained a lot of weight, and my face has become a big circle. Chiao Mian bit her lip and muttered in a low voice, if I keep eating like this, I will definitely grow fatter. When I gain weight, if I become ugly, you will definitely not like me. Who said that? Even though the scene happens every day, Mo Yesi still patiently and softly coaxes the little woman in his arms, I like whatever you become. Besides, my baby is so beautiful, but she will become ugly wherever she goes. You are not telling the truth, Chiao Mian said unreasonably, you say that, but you definitely don't think so in your heart. You must dislike me. Mo Yesi curled his lips helplessly, stretched out his hand to pinch her face gently, and smiled softly, I think so in my heart, and I will think so all my life. If you don't believe it, then I will hold a meeting tomorrow, a global press conference, to declare my sincerity to you, so that everyone in the world can witness whether I will change my heart for you, okay? Chiao Mian was stunned for a moment. Convene a global press conference. Mo Yesi nodded, yeah. Don't you believe that I am sincere to you? Chiao Mian. Global press conference and so on. Let's forget it. Chiao Mian knew very well that Mo Yesi's character was definitely the kind of person who could do what he said, so she quickly stopped and said, I believe you now. Mo Yesi couldn't help but chuckled again, do you really believe it? Well, I really believe it, Chiao Mian nodded. If Mo Yesi really held a global press conference over such a trivial matter, she felt that she would definitely be scolded. There will definitely be many people scolding her as a douchebag. After all, even she herself felt that she was indeed acting quite well during this period, and most of the time she was acting unreasonably. She relied on Mo Yesi to pamper her and be obedient to her, so she acted more and more unscrupulously. But Chiao Mian reached out and pinched her face and arms, bit her lip, hesitated for a few seconds, and asked in a low voice, hubby, don't you really think I've gained a lot of weight now? Mo Yesi shook his head and squeezed her waist with his big hand. When he looked down at the little woman in his arms, his eyes were a little hot and his voice was a little hoarse, baby, you are very charming like this now, I like it very much. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3005. Chapter 3005 Platonic Model. Chiao Mian raised her head and met the man's dark, burning eyes, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. They are an old married couple, and one glance at each other is enough to understand what the other is thinking. Speaking of which, since she became pregnant, she and Mo Yesi have been in the platonic mode of just chatting under the quilt, and the most intimate actions between the two have stopped at kissing. Although the doctor said that after the first 3 months, it would be okay to be more careful when doing so, but Mo Yesi did not dare to try it at all. He was usually cautious and extremely nervous, and often let Chiao Mian had the illusion that he was pregnant, not her. Although Mo Yesi is very conscious and restrained, Chiao Mian knows that it must be very hard for him to restrain himself. During my last fetal checkup, the doctor said that the baby in my belly was very stable. In fact, if we pay more attention, it should be okay. Chiao Mian blushed slightly and said in a very soft voice. No. Mo Yesi squeezed her waist and said in a hoarse voice, there are still the last 3 months, we can't take risks. Baby, I'm okay, you don't have to worry about me. You go to sleep first, I go take a shower. As he spoke, he slowly loosened his arm around her waist, got up and got out of bed. Seeing him walking towards the bathroom, Chiao Mian also turned over and sat up, are you going to take a cold shower again? In recent times, Moyesi has taken cold showers more and more frequently. Why are you up? Moyesi turned back to the bed and reached out to touch her head. I told you, you go to sleep first and don't worry about me. Asterisk. 2 hours later. Moyesi came out of the bathroom wearing a black bathrobe. When I lay back on the bed, it was almost 12 o'clock in the morning. The man had just taken a shower, and his body smelled of fresh shower gel. It was the lemon scent that Jiao Mian liked very much. As soon as Moyesi lay down on the bed, Jiao Mian turned over with her back to him and crawled into his arms with unusually skillful movements. Are you sleepy? If you are, just go to sleep. Moyesi reached out and gently hugged her, lowered his head and kissed her gently on the forehead. Jiao Mian's voice was irritated. Well, I'm sleepy. She suffered from sleepiness during pregnancy. I usually go to bed very early. Today, my sleep time was delayed by more than 2 hours compared to usual, and I was already very sleepy. Husband Jiao Mian's voice was soft and delicate. Moyesi responded softly, huh. Jiao Mian raised her eyes, looked at the man's beautiful and three-dimensional jawline, then crawled into his arms, and asked softly, are you not feeling so uncomfortable now? Yeah. Moyesi laughed softly, much better. Next time if you feel uncomfortable, just tell me. Jiao Mian scratched his chest with her little hand. Okay. Moyesi kissed her again. Husband. I'm so sleepy, I really want to sleep. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3006. Chapter 3006 stayed with her in the hospital for a week. Well, go to sleep. Good night, baby. Asterisk. 1 week before the due date, Jiao Mian was admitted to the hospital ahead of schedule. This week, Moyesi put down everything and left most of the company's affairs to Yan Zheng and the vice president. If there is anything particularly important, ask Yan Zheng to send the documents and contracts to the hospital for him to handle personally. Jiao Mian stayed in the hospital for a week. Moyesi also stayed with her in the hospital for a week. The moment before Jiao Mian gave birth to the baby, she was still arguing with Moyesi that she wanted to eat spicy crayfish and asked Moyesi to buy it for her. She kept pestering Moyesi to act like a baby, and finally Moyesi was driven to the point where she couldn't help it. Had no choice but to agree. Just when he was about to buy crayfish for her, Jiao Mian suddenly had an attack and complained that her stomach hurt. Because he had been prepared for it, even though Moyesi was extremely nervous at this moment, he still forced himself to calm down and called the doctor and nurse in an orderly manner. Jiao Mian lived in the VIP ward. In the past few days, a dedicated medical team was on standby to serve her alone. Soon, doctors and nurses came over, took a look at her condition, and determined that she would give birth soon. And quickly helped the person to the delivery room. The delivery room door is closed. Moyesi stood outside, staring at the closed door of the delivery room, so nervous that his palms became sweaty. The delivery room is filled with the best doctors in obstetrics and gynecology. Although he knew that nothing could go wrong, he could still feel uncontrollable nervousness. His palms were sweating in layers, and his heart was agitated. He wished he could rush into the delivery room right away to take a look. If Jiao Mian hadn't told him early in the morning that she didn't want him to accompany him in the delivery room, Moyesi would have rushed in. Jiao Mian had a natural birth. This is something she proposed herself. Moyesi also did a lot of homework during her pregnancy. She knew that now she can get injections for painless delivery. After the injection, she can give birth naturally, which will not be so painful. This way, the pregnant woman will not suffer as much as before. But no matter how much he knows and how prepared he is, he will still be nervous and worried. It is said that when a woman gives birth to a child, she has walked through the gates of hell. When Mrs. gave birth to him, she almost had dystocia. At that time, the doctor who delivered Mrs. Mo's baby was also the best doctor in obstetrics and gynecology, but she still almost had an accident. Whenever he thought of this incident, Moyesi couldn't let go. Even if Lu Rao assured him again and again, Mrs. Mo's situation would never happen again to Chiao Mian. ACI, don't worry. I have given my sister-in-law so many prenatal check ups before, and she is in particularly good condition for a natural delivery. Don't worry, everything will go smoothly. Lu Rao received the news and rushed over. Seeing Moyesi pacing back and forth outside the delivery room, he stepped forward and patted his shoulder gently to comfort him. I know Moyesi frowned, but why is there no movement in the delivery room? Lu Rao smiled, what do you think should happen? Moyesi pursed his thin lips, but his brows were still furrowed, don't you scream loudly when you give birth to a baby. From the moment Chiao Mian entered the delivery room until now, everything has been quiet. Not a sound came out. Moyesi became even more uneasy. Lu Rao was stunned for a moment, and this time he laughed out loud, ACI, have you watched too many TV dramas? Nowadays, almost all births are painless. My sister-in-law received painkillers, and it doesn't hurt to give birth. Of course not. Will yell. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3007. Chapter 3007 Mian is about to give birth. Moyesi was dubious, after taking painkiller injections, does it really not hurt to give birth? Lu Rao, of course it is true, otherwise how can we call it painless delivery? Of course, it does not rule out that some people who are not sensitive to anesthetics will still feel pain after the injection. Well, don't worry anymore, if you really feel relieved. If not, why don't you go in and take a look? Forget it, when Mian didn't want to give birth, I was watching from the side. Moyesi glanced at the delivery room with the door closed again, turned around and walked aside to sit down. I'll wait for her outside. I'll accompany you. Lu Rao walked to Moyesi and sat down. Only then did Moyesi calm down a little. Remembering that he hadn't notified anyone else yet, he took out his mobile phone and called Mrs. Bai. After receiving the call, Mrs. Bai was so excited that her voice changed tone, Mian is going to give birth. I'll tell the old lady and we'll come right away. During Chiao Mian's pregnancy, Mrs. Bai lived at the Lu residence. After calling Mrs. Bai, Moyesi sent another WeChat message to Chiao Chen, your sister is giving birth. Just after sending it via WeChat, Chiao Chen called directly within a few seconds. Moyesi picked up. Brother-in-law, my sister is going to give birth. Chiao Chen was in a meeting with the company's senior management. After receiving Moyesi's WeChat message, he interrupted the meeting and walked towards the elevator while answering the phone. The elevator door opened and Chiao Chen walked in. Well, I'll be there right away. After hanging up the phone, the elevator door was just about to close when it was opened again. The company's special assistant was standing outside with a stack of documents. He was still panting because he ran over. Vice President, how can you leave before it's finished? Today's meeting is very important, you. Before he finished speaking, an oppressive gaze fell on him. In the elevator, a handsome man who had lost his youthfulness and immaturity, and whose temperament was much calmer and sharper, looked at him majestically, and said in a cold voice, please inform me, the meeting will be rescheduled for tomorrow. But the special assistant wanted to say something more, but when he came into contact with the man's cold gaze, he swallowed the words that came to his lips. Yes, Vice President. The special assistant stood outside the elevator, watched the elevator door close, and stood for a while longer before turning and returning to the conference room. When the special assistant announced that the meeting would be rescheduled, there was a chorus of dissatisfaction below. "What are you doing? Such an important meeting is rescheduled just because it's said to be rescheduled. The vice president is really doing things more and more as he pleases, and the chairman doesn't care about him." The special assistant listened to the complaints of several senior executives and walked out of the conference room expressionlessly. Sooner or later, the chairman will hand over the company to the vice president. Letting the vice president work in the company now is just to train him. In a year or two at most, the vice president will definitely take over the company officially. The vice president is young but has outstanding abilities. He has personally negotiated several big orders in the past month or two. The chairman is extremely satisfied with him. It is too late to praise him. How could he still praise him? Speaking of which, this vice president is really impressive. From the time when I first joined the company, I didn't know anything and just explored it step by step. In less than 2 years, I have made very good results and blocked the mouths of the old men on the company's board of directors with my strength. The old men were very opposed to it at first, but now that they have made a lot of money as vice presidents, no one has come out to oppose it anymore. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3008. Chapter 3008. He is a young master. Not long after, Chiao Chen also arrived. "Brother-in-law, how is my sister now?" Chiao Chen walked quickly to Mo Yesi, glanced at the closed door of the delivery room, and asked with worry in his eyes. Like Mo Yesi, he knew that there would be no danger, but it was his sister who was giving birth to the baby in the delivery room, so it was impossible for him not to be worried at all. "Still in the delivery room, haven't come out yet?" Mo Yesi also glanced into the delivery room, frowning, and turned to ask Lu Rao, "Didn't you say it's quick? Why hasn't Mian come out yet?" Lu Rao. As for the birth of a child, he could only predict the time. He has no control over when the baby will be born. "Brother-in-law, let's wait a little longer." Chiao Chen comforted the impetuous Mo Yesi, "Sister-in-law should be out soon." Mo Yesi pursed his lips and said nothing, staring at the closed door of the delivery room. After waiting for a while, Chiao Ruhe, who received the call, also came. Bai's mother and Bai's father were quite polite to Chiao Ruhe. When she saw him, Bai's mother called out, "In-laws, you are here. Mian is still in the delivery room, come and sit down." The old lady opened her eyes and glanced at Chiao Ruhe, but said nothing, closed her eyes again and continued to chant the Buddha's name. Because Chiao Ruhe was partial to Chiao Angzan and his daughter, Chiao Mian suffered a lot of grievances. The old lady was a very protective person, so she didn't like Chiao Ruhe, so naturally she wouldn't give him a good look. Bai's mother and father are quite grateful to Chiao Ruhe. No matter what, Chiao Ruhe also raised their daughter. If Chiao Ruhe hadn't helped them raise their daughter, they would never have reunited with their daughter. Chiao Ruhe rubbed his hands with an uncomfortable look on his face. He knew that he was not welcome, so he found an unoccupied bench and sat down. People from the Bai family, the Mo family, and the Chiao family are all here. Mo Shixia was invited by a foreign royal family and went abroad. Zhang Luli took his daughter with him. At this time, the 3 members of the family were abroad and could not make it back. The group of people waited for almost half an hour, and the door to the delivery room finally opened. Mo Yesi almost rushed over in one stride. The nurse who came out first held the newborn baby in her hands and congratulated Mo Yesi with a smile on her face. "Mr. Mo, congratulations, Mrs. Mo has given birth to a little boy for you. Look, the baby looks so beautiful." Mo Yesi lowered his eyes and glanced at his newly born son. He didn't even see what he looked like, so he raised his head and said anxiously on his handsome face, "Where's my wife?" As soon as he finished speaking, Two more nurses came out pushing Chiao Mian who had just given birth. Mo Yesi no longer cared about the baby. He walked past the nurse holding the baby and walked to the cart. He bent down and gently held Chiao Mian's hand. His eyes were deep and his eyes were slightly moist. He looked at Chiao Mian who was sweating profusely. He lowered his head and kissed the back of her hand. He said word by word in a low and clear voice, Mian, thank you. Husband, we have a son. Chiao Mian held his hand and smiled, don't be like this, please be happy. In fact, giving birth is not painful at all. Really, after taking the painkiller injection, I don't feel any pain at all. Chiao Mian feels that painless childbirth is a blessing to women. Because it was not as scary as she imagined, it was even much easier than she imagined. She had just given birth and she actually had the idea of having another baby. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3009. Chapter 3009 Finale, 1. She previously thought that no matter whether it was a man or a woman, she would only have one child. This is how I discussed it with Mo Yesi. Both of them decided that they only wanted one child. But now, she had just given birth to a baby, and she was thinking about having another baby. However, she felt that Mo Yesi might not agree. Mo Yesi didn't seem to be interested in giving birth to a child. For him, it seemed like it was just a task. Once it was completed, he had no plans to have a second one. It seems that when the time comes, she will still have to do his ideological work. The nurse took the baby to other family members to take a look, and then took her away to clean the baby. The old lady was so happy that she couldn't help but hold Baimu's hand and praised her non-stop, this child is so beautiful. His eyes, nose, and mouth are exactly the same as when Yesi was a child. No, he is much prettier than Yesi was when he was a child. The skin is white and tender, and the hair is black and green, and she has inherited the advantages of Mian. I think my ears look a bit like my mother-in-law's. The earlobes are big and thick. You can tell she's blessed with great blessings. Mother Bai also had a smile on her face. When the old lady said that the baby's ears were like hers, she was so excited. Really, old lady, do you really think the baby's ears are like mine? The old lady nodded, feeling very excited. It looks like it, I think it looks very similar. This made Bai's mother very happy. She grabbed Father Bai's hand and said excitedly, did you hear it? The old lady said that our precious grandson's ears look like mine. In fact, I thought he did when I looked at him just now. My mother has been since she was a child. He said that my ears were good, and the fortune teller looked at my ears and said that if I were a man, I would definitely become a high official in the future. It happens that I am a woman, so I am destined not to be a high official. However, our precious grandson can become a high official in the future. Father Bai was also very happy. Although he did not believe in these feudal superstitions, at such a joyous moment, he would not be so emotionally weak as to say anything that would ruin the atmosphere. He nodded along with Baimu's words and said, what you said makes sense. At this time, Baimu's cell phone rang. It was Bai Yusheng who called. Bai Yusheng was also filming a movie abroad and couldn't get back for a while, so he could only call Bai's mother to ask about Chiao Mian's situation. The white mother announced the good news with great joy, your sister has given birth. The baby has just been born. Now it's time to take it and clean it. He is a little boy. He is very handsome. He is much more handsome than you were when you were a child. Name? You haven't chosen it yet. Let your sister and brother-in-law decide on the baby's name. After all, it's their child. Don't worry, mother and son are safe. Well, you and Sheng should pay attention to safety. Then you can take a taxi to the hospital by yourself. We won't pick you up. You still have to take care of your sister. After saying a few more words, Bai Mu hung up the phone. She turned around and said to Bai's father, Yu Sheng and Sheng Sheng are on their way back. Now that my grandson is here, I'm looking forward to having a grandson soon. Alas, I don't know what else they want to talk about. I just went to get the certificate at that time. In a few months, Yu Sheng will be 33 years old. We are already 4 years old, and our marriage has not yet been settled. How can we, as parents, rest assured? Bai Yusheng and Gu Sheng have been dating for almost a year. Father and Mother Bai were quite satisfied with Gu Sheng as their future daughter-in-law, and they wholeheartedly hoped that they would get married and have children soon. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3010. Chapter 3010 Finale, 2. I don't know if it was because of Bai Yusheng or Gu Sheng, but the two of them just dragged on talking for a long time, and they didn't seem to have any intention of getting married. Bai's mother has always been worried about Bai Yusheng's lifelong affairs, and now she has finally found a suitable candidate. Naturally, she hopes that the two of them can get married immediately and give birth to her grandchildren. Don't be anxious, in-laws. I'm about to get married soon, the old lady said with a smile as if she had experienced it. I was also worried about the marriage of Yessi and his brother at the beginning, and I worry about it every day and every year. I'm so worried that I can't sleep well, and I even have nightmares about the two brothers being alone for the rest of their lives. At that time, I really couldn't eat well, couldn't sleep well, and was not in the mood to do anything. I was afraid that the nightmares I had had would come true, and the two brothers would really be single for the rest of their lives. But later, Yessi got married as soon as he said he was going to get married, and his brother got married right away and gave birth to a child. I thought that once this fate came, it would be unstoppable. If they really meet, if you fall in love with someone you like, you don't need us to push you, you can't wait to marry him back home. So don't be anxious about Yu Sheng's matter. I think the relationship between the two of them may not be in place yet. In this case, it's useless for you to urge her. All you can do is wait patiently. Bai Mu listened to what the old lady said. She nodded thoughtfully, then frowned and said, but I think their relationship is quite good. It doesn't look like their relationship is not in place. We can understand everything about young people. The old lady took Bai Mu's hand and patted it gently. If you are really anxious, you can have a good chat with Yu Sheng and ask him what his plans are. Bai Mu sighed and nodded, that's the only way it can be. Be happy, you just had a grandson, don't think about those unhappy things. The old lady patted the back of Bai Mu's hand again, and then asked Uncle Zhang to help her stand up. I'm going to see my baby. Great-grandson. I'll go too. Bai Mu also stood up. Old lady, I'll go with you. Asterisk. In the VIP senior ward. Mo Yessi has been staying with Jiao Mian, and Jiao Chen also stayed in the ward. He put the peeled fruit in warm water, soaked it for a while, and then handed it to Mo Yessi. Mo Yessi took a piece of it with a fork, and put it to Jiao Mian's mouth. I have spent so much energy just now, let's eat something. Jiao Mian looked at Jiao Chen and smiled. Chen, how do you know that the fruits need to be soaked? Who told you? Jiao Chen wiped the fruit knife with a paper towel. I just checked it on the internet. It said that the fruit is a bit cold and it is better to soak it. We Chen are so attentive. If any girl is with you, she will definitely be well taken care of. Jiao Mian just finished saying this, as if thinking of something, she asked with a smile, by the way, when are you going to formally introduce Shen Xian to us? Although we all know each other, there must be a proper ceremony. I think we can have a meal together when everyone is free. Jiao Chen fell silent when he mentioned Shen Xian. After a while, he said, she is busy taking an exam recently, so she may not have time. Then let's wait until she is free and we can make another appointment. End of this chapter.